Hey, good morning, everybody. I know it's early on Sunday morning, and so not too many of you will probably be catching me live, which is perfectly fine. This will be posted a couple of times, but I wanted to sit down with you for a minute and make a video letting you know what our plans are for reopening. And we'd had some plans in place, of course. You know that we already have a Sunday evening service planned next week, an outdoor Sunday evening service. It's going to be in the parking lot on the parsonage side of the church. We've already been working on. I've been working on the logistics for all of that. We've got someone to baptize, and that has come to faith in Christ through our ministry at Society, and so. I want us to all be able to get together for that. I want us to be able to all be able to gather in one spot and worship, and we can do that outside. And so the plan is to do that next Sunday at 6 o'clock. And I've already put that out in writing, and we'll continue to communicate about that, let you guys know what to expect, what to bring, what not to bring, all those things, and we're just gonna have a great opportunity and a great time of worship together, and just enjoy the ability to be able to gather. As far as inside services go, so yesterday there was an injunction, a 2-week injunction or restraining order placed on the governor of North Carolina's phases. Essentially, right now, they don't allow any groups larger than 10 to meet inside of a home. And so we've obviously been honoring that. I don't think, I do know a couple of churches and that filed the lawsuit against the governor, and a federal judge essentially placed a restraining order for 2 weeks. It's a 2-week injunction, which means that it could possibly be reversed as they look at it further, and it's possible that it would not. What we've been anticipating, however, is that phase 1, where you can only have 10 people or less inside in a group, would end at the end of this week on Friday. I think that's the 22nd. And so what we were anticipating was that even if that got delayed a week and it ended up being the 29th, that we would be able to hopefully gather inside on the 31st. And so we've been working on plans for that. Here's the thing, though. It's very likely that gathering inside will still be at a reduced capacity. Now, I'm sure that we could sue the governor, or that nobody, I doubt Sheriff Campbell is going to come and arrest us if we have more than 50 people in a building. But the reason for these things, the reason that we've done all of this stuff is not just because the government has said so, but we've done everything that we've done. We have decided not to meet for the last 10 weeks because we love one another and we love our neighbors, and we want to make sure that we could help to flatten the curve, slow the spread of the coronavirus. I think that that's happened for sure. And at the same time, we want to be very cautious, and we want to be very careful about how we get back together. And so maybe it's just me, but I feel the burden to try, and I don't want to be overly cautious, I guess. Maybe I am. Maybe some of you think I am being overly cautious, and that's fine. Here's what I don't want. I don't want us to end up like one of those news stories of churches that got back together and went back to business as usual, or churches that continued to meet before all of this, and the coronavirus swept through the church, and 35, 40, 45 people got it. People died. People were in ICU. And there are stories like that. There are actual news stories of this happening. There's a church in Calgary where this happened. And I may, if you want some of those links or whatever, I'll post them for you. But what I want us to do is to make sure that we protect one another. And so our plan is that we're going to send out a form If you've got, I'll put it on Facebook, and you can link to it from there. I'm also going to, I'll text it to folks, email it to folks if I know your email address, those kinds of things. And it's essentially just letting us know if you're interested in coming and worshiping. Everybody, I've talked with a lot of the folks in the church, and we've got quite a few that aren't very interested in coming back indoors and sitting in a closed space for an hour with us while we worship. And so what I'm trying to do to mitigate that is what my plans have been is that we would gather together in the fellowship hall rather than the sanctuary. We normally, when we set up to worship in the fellowship hall, we set up 100 chairs. Well, what we can do, and what I've been thinking of doing, is we could set up about 40 chairs, 40 to 45 chairs, and we could spread those chairs out where families could sit together. You could put 5 or 6 together. And so families could sit together that all live in the same home, came in the same car. You can have 2 chairs together, one here and there for folks, and we can just spread out. You can even bring your own chair if you want to, but we could spread out in there. And if we need to, we'll do 2 services on a Sunday morning to allow folks to come. And so the form that I've got developed to send out to you guys was, and because of the court ruling and everything, there are lots of questions, and that's why I'm doing this at 8:20 on Sunday morning. But because of what I've got this form ready to go, it was going out to you this afternoon, and essentially what is going to ask you is your age, the number of people that are in your family or household, and if you had to choose which service you would rather come to. All right. And so obviously we're going to do our best to sanitize everything. We're going to have some fairly, we're going to have some protocols and some rules about what to do and what not to do. It won't be like it was before we stopped meeting. And what we want to do is exercise caution, and we want to exercise wisdom because we love one another. Also, I want to go a step further and to say, I don't think that Christians are being persecuted. I don't think we're being singled out. I don't think that coming to church and sitting for an hour in an enclosed space is the same thing as going to Food Line or Home Depot. That's personally me. And it's because you're moving, you're walking. At best, you walk by someone, maybe closer than 6 feet, but you just walk by them. You don't stand or sit by them for an hour. And so, I just want us to make sure that we're careful. And the reason I want to do that is because I love you. I feel the burden of the possibility of a viral spread, community spread of COVID-19 in Society Baptist Church, and someone, maybe one of our older members or even one of our younger members, getting so sick that they are isolated in ICU by themselves without being able to be visited by family, and even possibly lose their life. And it would be me, guys. It would be me standing over their casket trying to bring comfort to the family. And so I bear that weight. I obviously I have no control over what anybody does when you guys, that's not at the church. But as your pastor, I want to try and lead the congregation in such a way that's going to protect us as much as possible and protect our older members as much as possible. A couple of other things that we're trying to do. And this is why we're planning an inside service on the 31st. Right now, I'm recording this with a laptop. It's pretty much it's what I've got to be able to do this with. The Sunday morning sermon, which will be posted at 9:00 for you guys to worship in your homes this morning with your families, and hopefully that's the last time we have to do this, has been recorded by Brad Cartner, who has some very nice equipment. As you guys know, he's done such a wonderful job producing our videos for us and putting everything together so that we can worship at home. But we're going to have to figure out how we set different things up to be able to either live stream our service or continue to record our services so that we can make it available digitally for folks who aren't comfortable worshiping with us yet. So, and that's going to be the case. So we're working on all that. There's just a whole lot to put together logistically and a whole lot to put together and to think through to make sure that we do this as safely as we possibly can. And that's the goal. The goal is to be safe and to exercise wisdom. And y'all know, I think y'all know that there's probably not anybody in the church that wants to come back to church more than I do. I want us to be able to sing together, and I want us to be able to study the Word together. I am so tired of preaching to a camera. I want to see your faces. I can't wait to do that, but I want us to do it in a way that's wise and in a way that's smart. So that's the plan. That's the goal. So here's what you can do. All right. First, pray. Pray for our leaders, our elected officials, our governor, our president, our judges. And these are daunting days that no one's ever walked through and experienced before. So no one's ever led through a pandemic. No one none of us have experienced this. And so pray for them. Pray that the Lord would give them wisdom. I think that their orders are in good faith. I think they are. Secondly, pray for me. Pray that the Lord would give me wisdom to continue to lead through this, continue to shepherd our congregation back into corporate worship and how we do that, what that looks like safely. And of course, pray for one another, continue to pray for one another, and pray as we gather that we can gather in unity. I pray for unity in our church. I recognize that across the country, there's some folks that, they think that maybe the coronavirus is a hoax, and there's some folks that think it's government overreach, and there's some folks that think that are terrified of it because it's an actual virus. It's okay to think all three of those things. All right, it's perfectly fine. And so what we've got to be careful to love one another and give one another, show one another the respect that we would like them to show us in our view, and to approach one another with humility, to put others in front of ourselves and to treat others the way we want to be treated. And so that's really what we're trying to do here. And also pray for our service this coming Sunday. And Sunday, we're going to spread out in the parking lot. We're going to keep our distances, but we're going to spread out in the parking lot, and you can invite anybody you want. We're going to have a baptism. We're going to sing together. It's going to be awesome. 6:00 next Sunday evening, May the 24th. Hope you'll come. I've checked it at 6. The parking lot's mostly in the shade. And we'll be helping you figure out where to park. You just pay attention to Facebook and everything, and then just keep your eyes open for people who will direct you when you get here next week. And of course, pray for our services that we're planning inside. Pray that the Lord would be honored as we put these things together. Be praying for all of those things. And then finally, let me ask you one last thing that you can do. Let's be patient. Let us, with steadfastness and patience, continue to walk through the circumstance that the Lord has placed us in. We know that He's sovereign. We know that He is working all things together for our good and His glory. That includes this crisis. That includes this mess. Let's be patient, and with steadfastness, just continue to walk through it, trusting Him. So, guys, I love you. I hope you know I love you. I can't wait to see you next Sunday. I hope you'll all come. I hope if you got plans, you'll cancel and you'll come to church next Sunday because you haven't been able to for 10 weeks. And as we gather together to worship, it's going to be a great day. And if you've got questions, again, if you've got questions, let me know. But keep your eyes open for all kinds of information coming to you about next Sunday and about the Sundays after that, and about how we're planning on reopening ourselves. When we reopen, of course, we're just going to have Sunday morning worship. We won't have Sunday school. We won't have Sunday evening or Wednesday evening. The reason for that is because we got to figure out how to sanitize the building after anybody walks in. We've got to figure out how that looks and works. And as we can get that down to a science, then maybe we could figure out how we can think about small groups, Sunday school classes, maybe midweek Bible study. Until that point, we'll just continue to do those kinds of things online as much as possible. All right, I love you. I hope you're doing well. Enjoy your coffee this morning. And in a few minutes, you'll be able to access our Sunday morning sermon. It'll be live and available for you to access at 9 a.m. for you to sit down and sing with your family and worship. All right. I hope you're doing well. I'll talk to you soon. God bless.